a note to read, which I think is a very sweet note, but it is about a viewer who wants us to send us a short note about.
Yeah, I actually had a couple of small things I wanted to lead into that.
Okay, well, in that case, you do it. I was like, what a good thing. We should do this.
Yeah, I had that open a tab for a reason. It's I just want to give us a couple of minutes of feels time here, if the room's up for it.
Yeah.
Because I've had a couple of interesting encounters lately. So if you were tuning in a couple of days ago, you would have seen that I did a Starbucks run.
1 second, I'm going to help you with your mic.
Johnny.
Well, I use these for work all the time, so I should be better at it.
You know the thing?
I know a thing or two about mics.
All right. And now I'm unmuted. And hopefully not making weird noises. But so we went on a Starbucks run. Went out to get coffee for a whole bunch of folks just down the street, and wound up chatting with the barista. Told her we were in town for an event, kind of thing. And then we bought far too many coffees and left. A couple of days later, we went back, and again, we're like, oh yeah, like we're just doing the charity fundraiser thing. And she's like, oh, how's it going? And we had just passed $400,000.
Wow.
And I was like, oh, like unbelievably great. We just passed $400,000. And she was just kind of like blown away. And she was like, okay, what is this? What are you doing? Where are you? What is this money going for? And I start to explain Desert Bus for Hope, which, because it's difficult to explain, I have a little bit of a patter for. And I get to the bit where I'm like, okay, we're raising money for Child's Play charity. And I start to explain Child's Play, and she goes, oh, no, yeah, I'm familiar. And I was like, really? Like, that's unusual. She's like, oh, yeah, no. I was in Victoria Children's Hospital, and I've had experience with Child's Play as a patient when she was younger.
Oh my gosh.
So, like, just encountered that, like, just yesterday. I had another one, which was something that I never knew before, with a friend of mine. I'm just trying to bring up the message here from my friend Chrissy, who had indicated that her daughter Jenna had a friend who is going through some difficult times. Her best friend's little sister was diagnosed with leukemia at 3 and is now 5 and healthy. But when they were at the hospital, Jenna's best friend would play Minecraft on an Xbox made possible by Child's Play.
Oh.
And it was a huge, huge help for her. So it's been really special for me feeling like just encountering all these little bits in my day-to-day life where I've found people whose lives are touched by Child's Play and the good work that we do. Because a lot of times here it's just, we do this weird, wacky thing for a week, and there's a giant number, and it goes directly to help out folks, but we don't see it. We don't go to hospitals. We don't interact with these people. So it's always wonderful when we just encounter it out in the wild. And related to that, we got a note here from a Desert Buzz fan who watches us and is a fan of this because they had a positive interaction there. So this reads, when I was in 3rd grade, I was diagnosed with ITP, which is some long medical term for low blood platelets. It's a virus that attached to your platelets, a natural clotting agent in your blood, and whenever they pass through your spleen, they're sort of flagged and destroyed, which is not supposed to happen. So it makes it very difficult for bleeding to stop. It made it difficult for this person to go outside at home or school, no gym class at school, no field trips, that sort of thing. This went on for about 2 years, all of which they had to go to Texas Children's in Houston's twice a week for blood work for, and different overnight medical tests. So they were in the hospital a lot. After that 2 years, the doctor gave them one final treatment option, either to have their spleen removed or to have a series of 12 shots over 2 weeks, which was a very risky proposition due to allergies. And they had allergic reactions to every previous injection they had been given before. So they chose the surgery option. They were in recovery 2 weeks, just sort of kind of spacing out, staring at the ceiling. This was several years ago, sort of before smartphones. And at the beginning of the 2nd week, a nurse said, well, we have a video game you can play if you like here, to this child recovering in the hospital. So absolutely they said, yes, 100%. And the hospital staff brought this person a GameCube. Just the GameCube.
Oh no.
There was no game and no wireless controller, so the controller couldn't reach the hospital bed either. And when this young 15-year-old patient tried to explain the issue, the staff at the hospital were having a little bit of trouble that they were confused and they found it difficult, and they went back to sort of not having a lot to do. So they wanted to say that they are here supporting Desert Bus for Hope because they want to make sure that that isn't an issue for anyone anymore. And that's why it's so important that Child's Play hires specialists in hospitals so that they can be there to handle the technology of the end of that, to care for all of the games and systems and VRs, the iPads, everything like that, and make sure that there's someone on hand who knows how all of this works and how they can best use it to help these children to make their experience easier and better. So this is someone whose life has been touched a little bit by Desert Bus because they had a difficult experience in the past, and they want to be a part of this to help make sure that no one else has that experience again in the future. And that feels really special and important. So thank you, very, very much for sending that in. And thank you very much to Child's Play for continuing to do this great work. Would you be able to talk a little bit about the specialists? That,
the tech specialists?
Yeah. If you need a minute, that's fine. But, yeah.
I can recover.
Go.
I get emotional.
Yeah.
I have feelings, even though I don't look like I have feelings. So we noticed a need, just like that situation, where people would have all this equipment in the hospital and maybe not have the manpower to fix it or get it to work or understand how it works.
Mm-hmm.
They go get certified, but not in video games. That's what we saw. So we started funding child life tech positions, and they're called something different in a lot of different facilities. And we've seen, it gathering interest from other facilities, which is great because we all feel like video games aren't as bad as people make them out to be, and they can be really healthy and good things. They've helped me my whole life, and that's what brought me here. And
Here.
now I'm with a family of people that I probably would have loved to hang out with when I was younger. So, but yeah, that's what we do. We've started going that direction. We still get equipment and toys and video games to hospitals, but we also need to have people there that know what they're doing with the and how beneficial they can be. And it's not just a video game. It can be therapeutic in so many different ways. It can help kids get out of the hospital, even though they're not leaving the hospital, which I think is a great thing. So that's it.
Here.
Yeah.
Yay.
Raise your hands if video games have positively affected your life.
I'm fine with that.
Yep.
Okay.
Video games affect every single part of my career and my life. It's what I do for work and what I do for fun.
Hey, Tabby, was it you who told me about the because it was, I think it vaguely was mentioned in the talk with Dr. Joe earlier, but he couldn't quite remember. Was it you who told me about the specific therapy that's done with the 3DS, the eye therapy?
I know of what you're talking about. It might have been me, but I know that it can help your eye. Like if you have a lazy eye as a kid, it can help you like refocus or train the eye to behave properly.
Yeah, and it used to be, and the 3DS has been able to replace the old way, which was giving a kid like a piece of paper that's like, here, stare at these dots for 30 minutes.
Yeah, and that's boring.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's so boring, but there's so many things. What I like is when, it's not really a game, it's more an experience in the VR headset where a kid can get used to an MRI and not have to be sedated possibly because they get so used, they can ask questions or move, while they have the simulation on, and they can kind of learn like, this isn't going to trap me and I'm not going to be stuck in this machine all the time.
Yep.
So they can do that, and that cuts down on costs for the hospital too because you you can't eat, like Dr. Joe said, you can't eat before a lot of procedures or
Yeah.
whatever, and then, you know, you spend that time doing that, and then the machine's all ready to go, and then I would freak out. So, I mean, I would be there too,
Yeah.
like freaking out and not wanting to go in through with it, but all this preparation has taken place. But now after the kid gets to do the experience and gets used to it, it's been able to cut down on the amount of sedation that's happened, so yeah.
That's
Good.
really good to hear.
Yeah.
Excellent. I think that was a good little sort of trip down the importance of what we're doing here.
Yep.
Does anybody have anything we want to tag on to that? Because I want to celebrate a little bit and bring the mood back up because we just cracked 5K for our shift total.
Yeah!
I wish to dance.